Hi, the headlines on the Pegasus story, the amnesty response, the government response have been all frankly so confusing. To be honest, I've often thought of how tough it is for an ordinary citizen to make sense of a story like this. It is a maze. Whose list? Who's surveilling whom? Has everyone been hacked? What is the truth? Different headlines actually claiming opposite things. So I don't envy you. My name is Anubha Bhonsle, and on Newsworthy, our aim for this video is to tell you what is known, what is not known, and what has got lost in translation. This is absolutely worthy of your time and your attention, so do consider making a contribution to help Newsworthy do more such work. The link for that is in the bio or in the description, depending on where you're watching it. Let's get started. Now, typically the response over the last few days has come from NSO, the Israeli company that makes the spyware Pegasus. It has said the numbers in the list are not related to the NSO group. Number two, they've said we do not operate the system, nor do we have access to the data of our customers. And number three, the list that is being talked about is not a list of targets or potential targets of Pegasus. Now, the first two bits could be presumably right. NSO says it sells the spyware to governments. So the people who the government wants to use this spyware on are not known to NSO. So would NSO know who their clients, that is governments of the world, want to target? Well, at an academic level, yes, they obviously know the demand for their product, but perhaps at a daily, practical, granular level, maybe no. They could know some of the high-profile ones. Now, mark this line because I'm going to come back to it later. The third thing that they said, and I'm quoting them verbatim, that the list is not a list of targets or potential targets of Pegasus. That line doesn't quite add up. If you don't know what your clients are doing with your product, then you shouldn't know whether the list is a list of potential targets or someone has simply dreamt it up. For instance, in a statement, the NSO, the Israeli company, said that Pegasus was not used in the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. How does the company know that? Well, we don't know.
The other stakeholder in the story is Amnesty, the organization that got the list and then worked with journalists across the world to identify whom those numbers belong to. They have done a sequence of rather confusing statements over the past few days. On July 18th, Amnesty said, and I quote this verbatim from their website amnesty.org, "A massive data leak reveals Israeli NSO group spyware Pegasus used to target activists, journalists, and political leaders globally." On July 21st, Israeli daily Calculist ran a story in Hebrew. The headline, translated in English, reads, "Amnesty clarifies, the list of 50,000 phone numbers is not directly related to NSO." In that story was a statement from Amnesty International Israel. I'll quote a line from it. "Amnesty never presented this list as NSO's Pegasus spyware list, though some of the world's media might have done so." A note here, this July 21st Hebrew statement by Amnesty Israel was addressed to NSO and was in response to the company's last statement that Anubha highlighted. Much of the Indian media and social media got this story from Kim Zetter, an independent cybersecurity journalist who first shared excerpts from this statement in English, and that's the headline that I just read. Let me read it again for you. "Amnesty never presented this list as NSO's Pegasus spyware list, though some of the world's media might have done so." Obviously, the Indian government and a section of the media's response to this was, Project Pegasus is a laughable snooping story which was spun around an indicative list manufactured by Amnesty International, end quote. On July 22nd comes a clarification from Amnesty International. Amnesty International categorically stands by the findings of the Pegasus project and that the data is irrefutably linked to potential targets of NSO Group's Pegasus spyware. It adds that its Hebrew statement was mistranslated. Kim Zetter, who put out the complete statement given to Israeli reporters, says there was no mistranslation, but he also clarifies that the latest Amnesty statement did not contradict anything they had said from day one of Project Pegasus. Here's how you can make sense of the story. This is not an NSO list, as in, did NSO make, author, maintain this list of potential targets? No. Once their clients purchase Pegasus or any other spyware, they would make their own lists. Does NSO never get to know on whom their technology is being used? They say no. That's a tad hard to believe, we think. They just said they know Pegasus wasn't used in the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Where did this list originate from? How did Forbidden Stories and Amnesty gain access to this list? Leaked from where? Did they get different numbers from different countries and collate the numbers? Who leaked it? Both the organizations have given no answers to this, only saying, and I quote, Forbidden Stories and Amnesty International had access to a leak of more than 50,000 records of phone numbers that NSO clients selected for surveillance, end quote. It's not clear if the media organizations that worked on these stories with Amnesty had more information on this list and its source. NSO has discredited the source of this list by saying that it looked more like a public list of HLR or Home Location Register data. HLR data is essentially a database kept by mobile phone companies that allow a real-time query of a subscriber's information. This doesn't contradict the findings of Project Pegasus. HLR lookups have long been used in the surveillance of mobile phones because they indicate whether the phone is on and thus available for hacking. So the doubt arises, is this a random list made out of thin air or just the yellow pages? Are they potential targets for surveillance in general, or is it a list of potential targets of Pegasus?
Now, yes, you have all the right, and it is actually healthy to be skeptical. But remember what doesn't change. What doesn't change is that 7 Indian phone numbers had traces of Pegasus. Worldwide, 37 phones show traces of Pegasus activity. What also doesn't change is that yes, not all numbers in the list were tracked by Pegasus or maybe even tracked, but numbers that have been tracked by Pegasus are on this list. So who's keeping an eye on these 7 in India and why? They make up journalists, they make up the leader of the opposition, a key political strategist for the opposition, and that's why it is worrisome. Also, that's why when you scan the full list and find activists, scientists, a complainant in a sexual harassment case against a former Chief Justice of India, key people in landmark cases, that list becomes worrisome, terrifying, and perhaps undemocratic. Especially when all that the government has said in response to this story is, number 1, that the list is a bid to malign democracy. Number 2, we have established protocols through which lawful surveillance is carried out in India. Number 3, the story has no factual basis, it is poorly researched. Number 4, the Pegasus controversy is an attempt to derail the Personal Data Protection Bill from becoming the law of the land. And number 5, and very oddly, is this revenge for the way India handled COVID? I'll leave you to think about that. But remember, what the government hasn't said till now is, no, we didn't buy Pegasus. No, we didn't use Pegasus. They've also not said that yes, we bought Pegasus, but we didn't use it against our citizens. They've also not said we bought Pegasus, used it, but authorized the surveillance through very established protocols. They've also not said we don't know who used Pegasus against the 7 people, but we'll get to the bottom of it. I'll leave it here. If this has been helpful and clarified some of the confusion that media headlines have put for you, I think our job is done. Please share this video with your friends and family and get more people to subscribe to Newsworthy. Remember, we are on YouTube as well. We go there by my name, Anubha Bhonsle. We'll see you again very soon.